What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Chair Shots to the Cranium. I'm your host, Stephen Goforth. Today's episode is the 2018 year in review. Not only that, but I'm going to talk about 2019. What are some of my predictions for 2019? So I've taken my time on putting this one out. A lot of prediction shows have already hit the pod waves, letting everybody know what's happened in the year 2018. I waited a little bit. Today is Wednesday, January the 2nd. I, of course, have been hearing a little bit of rumblings, a few rumblings about things that could happen around the first of the year. Some of those things have already happened. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we get into 2019 predictions. But I want to take my time a little bit on this one. I wanted to really review 2018. I didn't want to jump into this and just talk about things that have happened and not really give my thoughts on it properly. And not only that, but going into 2019, I really wanted to take my time and come up with some thought-provoking predictions, things that will rattle your cranium, a chair shot to the cranium, and get you thinking about things that could be happening in 2019. I think it's going to be a great year for professional wrestling. I cannot wait. So let's jump in to some of the things that have taken place in the year 2018. First and foremost, let's talk about the rebirth of Chair Shots to the Cranium. Yes, 2018, Chair Shots to the Cranium was reborn. For those of you that may not know the history of Chair Shots to the Cranium, I started it in 2002. Started out as a written column, did interviews as well, and would go to wrestling shows and report on some of the things I saw at those shows. But mainly it was a column. It was an opinionated column that was published all over the internet. A lot of popular websites back in that time was publishing my columns, and I greatly appreciated that. It kind of really got a big jump start back then, and was very proud to have my column read by many people throughout the world, and I got a tremendous amount of advice from a lot of publicists or publishers, I should say, and writers at that time that really helped me along and helped me to get Chair Shots to the Cranium off the ground. Took a little hiatus, little being 12 years or so or more, and decided, you know what, I miss it. I want to get back into this. I miss reporting about professional wrestling. I miss entertaining people. Let's do this. So things have changed a little bit. Podcasting has evolved, and I'm very excited to be doing this. So Chair Shots to the Cranium was reborn in the year 2018, and I really hope it will continue on for many more years, and I hope that 2019 sees a tremendous growth to the column, to the podcast, to the interviews, to everything. Please check out my website, chairshotstothecranium.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's Chair2Cranium, Chair the number 2, Cranium, Chair2Cranium on Instagram and on Twitter. And also check me out on Facebook, Chair Shots to the Cranium. Just trying to get this growing again. I have to admit, I do regret taking that time off. I really had things going in a great direction back then in the early 2000s. Wish I would have continued it. No telling where it would be now if I wouldn't have stopped. But with your help, we can get this thing off the ground again and make it one of the best podcasts out there for professional wrestling. So anybody that's supporting me right now, thank you very, very much. Tell your friends. Tell them to listen, and also tell them to buy a Chair Shots to the Cranium t-shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com. ProWrestlingTees.com/Chair Shots to the Cranium. Buy the merch, wear it. I can tell you, when I wore my t-shirt out, my daughter Addison, who also helps me with the podcast, she's worn it. I've had some good friends that purchased the t-shirt as well when they wear it out. And it gets some looks. It gets some, hey, I like that. It's a cool t-shirt. Where'd you get that? So, be popular. Wear a Chair Shots to the Cranium t-shirt. Support us. It's always greatly appreciated. Another headline in 2018, of course, was the return of Daniel Bryan. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought Daniel Bryan would come back to professional wrestling in the ring and have the success that he did? It looked like he did not miss a step from the time he took off. Very glad to see Daniel Bryan's return to the squared circle and, of course, winning the WWE Championship. And I can't wait to see what he has in store for us in 2019. Love the heel turn that he did to end the year. Love where that character's going. Just an extension of what he believes in. And as I say, anytime you can make a character based around who you really are, it can be a tremendous success, or will be a tremendous success. So Daniel Bryan's done a tremendous job of that character thus far, and very glad to see him return to the ring in 2018. Another headline was Paige's retirement. Of course, suffering the concussion, and during her tag match earlier in the year. I hated to see that. Hated to see Paige, of course, do as well as she did, make a good comeback from some things that were going on in her life, and having the success that she was having. And then to see it end the way it did was heartbreaking. So hopefully she can do the same things that Daniel Bryan did to make his return, and then she can make hers as well. So I really hope that can happen. I know for her sake, as much as she loves to be in the ring, the things we've read about her, and can't wait to see that movie that is coming out about her life. That's going to be a very, very good movie. Also includes The Rock. So Paige's retirement was yet another headline of 2018. Let's hope we see her back in the ring in 2019. The XFL announcement. The XFL is returning. I had the privilege of seeing the XFL when it first came out. Was it back in early 2000s, I guess, when I first started Chair Shots to the Cranium, and wrote some columns about it. And really excited to see what Vince McMahon has in store for wrestling fans and football fans in 2020. I think it'll be a tremendous alternative to the NFL. I think we need an alternative to football right now, and let's see what happens. I think that it's time for an alternative. I think some people are getting frustrated with the NFL for whatever the reasons are. I think the XFL can be a refreshing twist on football. So the XFL coming to us again in 2020. Can't wait for that one. Sure, we'll hear more things to come in 2019. The All In show that took place in 2018, no one predicted that this show would be such a success and sell out as quick as it did. I think it sold out in less than 30 minutes and turned out to be one heck of a show. And I believe we are in store for some very entertaining professional wrestling for some time to come. And we'll talk a little bit about that in my 2019 predictions. Of course, we saw the emergence, or the announcement, I should say, of AEW. And I think that it is much needed. We need an alternative in professional wrestling, and I'm very excited about AEW, All Elite Wrestling. So the All In show, big success. StarCast, huge success. Everybody that participated in that had nothing but wonderful things to say about it. Conrad Thompson and his staff did a fantastic job of putting that together, especially being the first time they've ever done anything like that. And it could not have gone better. And so I really hope to see something coming up this coming year, or coming up in 2019, maybe a StarCast 2 that will take place with the Double or Nothing show that was announced that AEW will be putting on. Would love to see another StarCast show, and hopefully this guy right here will be invited to the next StarCast. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Would love to see everybody if that were to happen. If not, that's okay too. I'm going to be pulling for it. I'm going to hope it's another wonderful show. It is fantastic for professional wrestling and the growth of professional wrestling and its fan base. So cannot wait to see what's going to happen with that. All right, New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor selling out Madison Square Garden WrestleMania weekend. Had to mention this because Madison Square Garden has been the home of the WWE for many, many years, and the fact that another company or joint effort here with New Japan Wrestling and Ring of Honor is coming in and selling out Madison Square Garden, not only selling it out, but selling it out as fast as it did, especially on WrestleMania weekend, is something to applaud. So never did I think that we would see something like this, and especially it being WrestleMania weekend on top of that. So can't wait to see how that show goes. Kudos to those companies for selling that out, and for really just kind of stepping outside the box and saying, you know what, we have the balls to go into WrestleMania weekend at Madison Square Garden and put on a show, and guess what? We just sold it out. So I applaud those guys. Hope it goes really, really well. All right, so we unfortunately got the very bad news of Roman Reigns and his leukemia diagnosis coming back. That, of course, was a huge headline in 2018. I would like to know how Roman Reigns is doing. I don't know. I haven't heard any updates from the WWE, an official update. But it would be nice to kind of course, want to respect his privacy while he's going through all this, of course. And I completely understand that. But for those that are fans of Roman, would love to know how he's doing. And just all we can do is continue to pray, continue to support, and hope that he will come back soon and come back bigger and stronger than ever. So prayers to Roman Reigns, to his family, and to his friends that are there to support him. And we hope for a wonderful recovery. On to, it's hard to segue out of that because it's such a serious situation, and outside of the world of professional wrestling, it just hits home. It's a real story that many people in this world are struggling with, and it's a serious situation. So again, very difficult to transition out of a story like that and just keep going. But of course, that's what we try to do here, and also just keep the story going, keep the news going. And I'm sure Roman would want things to keep going as well. So let's go into SmackDown signing a deal with Fox. I think this is going to be big. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in my 2019 predictions. I can't say that I'm really thrilled about the time slot going back to Friday nights. I really enjoyed Tuesday nights. Thought it worked out wonderful, back-to-back nights of live wrestling. However, it's going to be a tremendous deal to go with SmackDown on Fox. A lot more exposure for the world of wrestling, hopefully growing the fan base even more viewership, obviously. So again, a wonderful thing that this has happened, and I think big things are going to be on the horizon for SmackDown going to Fox. The next thing on my cranium would be Raw ratings. Raw ratings, unfortunately, I think hit an all-time low in 2018. Not to be a negative Nelly here. I try not to focus on all the negatives. I try to be a positive person when it comes to this. We do have to recognize it. Something has to be done. Of course, we did see a little bit of that later on in the year, and I'll get to that here in just a second. But Raw ratings being the lowest it's ever been is something to be concerned about. But I think that hopefully things will be on the right course now, and things will get better. The Women's Evolution pay-per-view was another huge standout event for 2018. It was a terrific pay-per-view. I thought the ladies gave it their all, and it was extremely exciting, and hopefully we will see another one in 2019. But definitely the Women's Evolution pay-per-view has to stand out as, without a shadow of a doubt, groundbreaking, and was a big highlight for 2018. To piggyback off of that, talking about women, WOW, Women of Wrestling signed to deal with Access TV to start broadcasting their shows coming up this month, January of 2019. They filmed the episodes back in October, so this is extremely groundbreaking for the women in wrestling. WOW, Women of Wrestling, do not want to miss that, debuting this month on Access TV. All right, let's move on to the return of the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels at Crown Jewel. Goes without saying, huge part of 2018. Never thought we would see HBK back in the ring again, and he looked fantastic. I will admit, a little strange not seeing him with the long hair. It took me a while to watch that match. Seeing him bald just did not look right. I guess it'll take a little getting used to, but again, it was wonderful to see him back in the ring. And hopefully we'll see him at WrestleMania. We shall see. Dean Ambrose heel turn. That was a little bit of a shocker. Kind of saw it coming earlier in the year when he come back. Well, actually, I shouldn't say earlier in the year. When he made his comeback, they teased a little bit. It was a little bit of a shocker that it happened when it did happen. No one saw it happening whenever the night that Roman Reigns announced he had leukemia. So that was a little bit of a swerve. That was nice to kind of see something different like that and unexpected. But definitely a big part of 2018. Dean Ambrose making that heel turn, Shield breaking up again, I think one day we'll definitely see them reunited. The rise of the independent wrestling circuit kind of goes a little bit back to what we talked about with AEW or the All In pay-per-view that happened earlier that year, and of course New Japan Wrestling and Ring of Honor. I just thought that as a whole, independent wrestling exploded even more so in 2018. Of course, I think we saw a little bit of that in the previous years, of course, but 2018, I thought it was really, really good, and it will only continue to get better. So independent wrestling is alive and well, and I encourage you to find your local wrestling company and support them. All right, go out there and do some research, whether it's at a high school gym, at a local auditorium, I don't care where they're having it. Find where they are, go buy a ticket, go check it out. You'll be pleasantly surprised. A lot of terrific talent out there that I have seen firsthand that I was extremely entertained by. And you're missing out if you don't do this. So go support independent wrestling. To me, it was a big part of 2018 and will continue to be a big part of 2019. Finally, another headline that I feel is definitely worth mentioning for 2018, kind of closing out 2018, was the announcement of new management in WWE, that the McMahons are taking over Raw and SmackDown and things are going to change. They're giving the power back to the people, so to speak. Will things really change in the coming year? I don't know. I think we're seeing a little bit of that already in the last 2 weeks of SmackDown and Raw, so I like to think it will. I think they recognize that the fans are not happy with some of the things that are going on with some of the storylines. And it goes back to a little bit of what we talked about in previous podcasts is develop the characters. Find a way to get fans like myself invested in that person. And once you're invested in that person, you understand a little bit of backstory. You understand why they are the way they are and how they got there. Then you're going to want to tune in. You're going to want to see what's going to happen with that person. You're going to want to dive yourself into the storyline that's going on with that particular person. So develop the characters, come up with solid storylines that are consistent, and run its course. Not just abandon a storyline quickly. I'm not claiming to be the expert here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not claiming to be the knower of all. I'm not trying to be that guy. These are my opinions. I think these opinions are shared by many other people out there in the podcasting world. So, new management in WWE kind of rounded out 2018, heading us into 2019, possibly with a new direction. We shall see. Can't go without saying that we had a lot of deaths in the world of wrestling in 2018. As I'm recording this, we just learned today that the great Mean Gene Okerlund passed away. This one is a tough one because I grew up, as many of you did, listening to Mean Gene Okerlund, holding that microphone, and nobody did it any better. So rest in peace, Mean Gene. We're definitely going to miss you. Not a good way to start out 2019. So I'm going to run through some of the deaths that we had in 2018. These are in no particular order. If you want to see a list of these wrestlers that have passed away, go to my website, again, chairshotstothecranium.com. There's a link on there of the deceased wrestlers that not only happened this past year, but over the course of many, many years. WrestlerDeaths.com. They seem to be extremely accurate in their 10-bell salute section of their website. So, deaths in 2018, and forgive me if I mispronounce the name. I'm going to do the best I can to pronounce some of these names. So again, please forgive me if I mispronounce these names, but I definitely want to recognize these extremely talented individuals who will be missed by many. I'm going to start out with Big Bully Busick, died at the age of 63. Brian Christopher Lawler passed away at the age of 46. Brickhouse Brown died at the age of 57. The great Bruno Sammartino passed away at the age of 82. Jim the Anvil Neidhart died at the age of 63. Johnny Valiant, dead at 71. Masa Saito passed away at the age of 76. Matt Cappotelli passed away at the age of 38. Nikolai Volkov, age 70. Paul Jones, age 75. Rockin' Rebel passed away at the age of 52. And Vader, passing away at the age of 63. All of these men will be tremendously missed, contributed so much to the world of professional wrestling, and we salute them for everything they accomplished and left behind for fans like myself and many others. Thank you, gentlemen. So that concludes the 2018 year in review. And I want to move along to my 2019 predictions. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things take place this year. Some of these predictions are going to be bold, I'm going to be honest with you. Some may seem pretty obvious. But I want to talk about them, and I want to rattle your cranium a little bit. It's what I do here in this podcast, get you thinking about stuff that maybe you hadn't thought about, or maybe get you thinking about something in a different way. So, 2019 predictions. What do I think is going to happen in 2019 that will be huge for the world of professional wrestling? Number one, AEW. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, will make a huge splash in the world of professional wrestling. And I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of recognizable names come into this company and possibly leave WWE and come over to this company. Don't know who those people are, of course. So it's hard to make that kind of prediction. But I want to predict that we will see CM Punk back in the world of professional wrestling again. And I think he will be part of AEW. And again, that is a bold prediction. He has made it very clear, CM Punk, that he does not want to be in professional wrestling again. But I, like many, would love to see that happen. And I think AEW would be the perfect spot for CM Punk to make a comeback. Look for huge things out of AEW in 2019. Very excited to see that. Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey will main event WrestleMania. This has been talked about already by many, and I think that's going to happen. I think that these two ladies deserve to take women's wrestling to another level, and main eventing WrestleMania would be that next level. And I think if they do this correctly, they being the WWE writers and building the storyline up, it would make a tremendous main event for WrestleMania. So Becky and Ronda to main event WrestleMania. You heard it here on Chair Shots to the Cranium. SmackDown will overtake Raw as the best show once they move to Fox. I think the partnership with Fox will elevate that show big time. So it would not surprise me if you saw SmackDown ratings being much better than Raw. Of course, may have a lot to do with the station that they're going to be on, Fox, as opposed to USA where Raw is. But I just think the product is going to be better. I think that the storylines are going to be better. I think the characters are going to be better on SmackDown. I think they're going to beat Raw in 2019. And WWE, I think, will improve. I think WWE will definitely listen to what the fans are having to say, and they will improve the product, especially considering that we are seeing All Elite Wrestling come about, and they may have some competition knocking on the door. So they can't afford to get lazy or complacent. I think you're going to see a big improvement in the product. And to piggyback off that prediction, I'm going to say that Vince McMahon will finally turn over almost everything in terms of the creative to Triple H, Stephanie, Shane. All three, maybe Triple H, maybe Stephanie. If you've watched NXT, you see the impression that Triple H has on that brand. He has done a magnificent job of, going back to what we talked about earlier, developing storylines, developing characters, having exciting matches in the ring. I think it's time for Mr. McMahon to step aside and allow his family to carry on the legacy. And I believe that Triple H is that guy. I think he has his finger on the pulse of what the fans want to see, and I think you will definitely see that transition in 2019. Maybe not on an official scale. I don't think he's going to come out and just say it. I just think you'll see it happen. And maybe he does. Maybe he does come out to the ring and just make this big announcement that he's stepping aside and let everybody take over. Who knows? But I just think it's going to happen. Finally, I think that WOW Women of Wrestling will make a gigantic impact on the world of wrestling when they start airing their shows, as I mentioned earlier in the show, on Access TV. So once they start doing that, I believe you're going to see a big impact that they're going to make in wrestling. And I think you're going to see new fans come about, young and old, and they're going to turn some heads and they're going to catch some attention, all in a tremendously positive way. Cannot wait to see this, and cannot wait to see what they contribute to wrestling this coming year. If you want to learn more about WOW, go listen to the interview that I did with Amber O'Neal. It's on my YouTube channel. You can also listen to it on Apple and Google Podcast. Terrific interview. It'll tell you everything you want to know about WOW. She did a fantastic job explaining it and what they're all about. Highly encourage you to go watch that interview. It was fantastic. And again, I cannot wait to see what they have in store for the world of wrestling. And that concludes my 2018 year-end review and my 2019 predictions. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back for predictions of the Royal Rumble coming up very, very soon. Myself, my co-host Addison will be here with me. Do not want to miss that show. Again, make sure you go follow us on Instagram and on Twitter, Chair2Cranium. Again, Chair, the number 2, Cranium, Chair2Cranium on Instagram and on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, and go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everything we've published in terms of interviews are going to be on there. And also make sure you visit the website at chairshotstothecranium.com. Again, chairshotstothecranium.com. I cannot thank you enough for your support. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this and support us in 2019. Help us to grow. Help us to get more followers on social media and more subscribers on YouTube. We're here to stay. We want to entertain you. We love doing it, and we love to hear from you. So always feel free to reach out to Chair Shots to the Cranium and give us your input. Let us know if you have topics that you want us to discuss in the coming year. As always, we thank you for taking another chair shot to the cranium.